Lightning talks are generally 10-minute talks. If you have something that you're passionate about around Linux and around system hardening, we'd love to hear it. August, running your own email server. Having run my own email server for years, don't do it. Especially if it's for the family, don't do it.
It's going to be a two-part where the first half is running your own, and then the second is the counterpoint. Don't run your own.
Yeah, I think some of us can give a whole presentation on why you shouldn't do that. Yes.
Just as a quick backstory.
Yeah.
I myself and 2 other members of an IT staff very early in my career threatened to walk out if they made us run our own internal Exchange server. And that was back when it was basically just Exchange, SendMail, and I don't know what else.
Yeah.
Back then.
Oh, I was even doing it all on Linux, and I still just the family support was what killed me. If I'm just doing it for myself, that's fine. But as soon as you add one user, your support tickets go up 100%. September, Novolog in the Fediverse. That's a little ways off. Keynote would be me. Open DNS Resolvers. Let me.
Anybody going to the Open Source Summit? Is it next week? Or is that Colorado? Denver?
Oh, I wish. I was just there, though. Where is it being held?
Denver, Colorado. Huh?
What's the location?
Oh, I have.
Oh, okay. Like I said, I was just there for Nanog 2 weeks ago. I love Denver, but I'd like to get back out, but not for that.
Aaron, do you want just people should say their name and kind of.
Oh, you wanna do some icebreaky stuff?
Not too much. I'm just curious.
Run with it, Matt. I'm gonna get more coffee.
Okay. Well, I know. We all.
I was just trying to make up. We were running a little late.
Saturday morning was semi-scared. I'm just kind of curious. Some of you I recognize, some of you I don't. So, just a little curious. What brought you here? Kind of what's something you're interested in that brought you here? So anyone who's willing and interested to share your name, it's optional, but you can share your name and what brought you here this morning.
Matt, what brought you here?
Well, I came to see Darren's wonderful talk. And just really like open source software. I think for you, Darren, you should tell us what inspired your very fun necklace.
Well, I mean, it is Pride Month, and I got this while I was at Nanog because they're very prideful sometimes. And I wore it for my last presentation when I had to do this presentation much quicker. So, and I like to call attention to myself.
I'll go. This is my first one. I've known Darren for a number of years, and I actually have been meaning to come out for a couple of them, but I worked at Aaron with Darren, and so I just came out to see a presentation. Hopefully, pick up a topic or two. Do one eventually here coming up.
Yeah, it'd be good to get caught up. Thanks for coming out. I think that I helped hire you and then left like the next week.
Yeah, that was about it. Yeah. You'll do great.
Don't put anybody on the spot. Okay, go for it.
I'm Dave. I've been coming to these meetings for a while. I really enjoy them. I learn a lot, and I have to get out of the house because I don't have a life. And I'm very interested in this one because I've been planning on running a Pi-hole.
Okay.
So I know that's related.
Yep. There are many ways to do DNS. Anybody else brave enough? If not, oh yes, go for it.
Hey everyone, my name is Jedediah, but everyone just calls me Jedi for short. I'm interested in this talk. Actually, I went to I think one of the earlier meetings when I was at Arlington Library.
Yeah.
And then I wasn't able to make it out, but I saw the title of this talk and I was like, this seems really interesting. I want to kind of learn more about DNS infrastructure because I hear about it being used in like reflected DDoS attacks or just the new standards people are trying to implement over DNS, like DNS over HTTP or TLS. So I was just thinking.
Oh, it's implemented. It's there. It's part of a good robust infrastructure. Yeah, I think I spoke at the Arlington one, and that was when I had a different hat on. I was a root server operator, so I've just changed my DNS focus from root servers to resolvers, which resolvers are much more interesting. Root servers just kind of sit there and you poke it and want it to do more, but all it does is serve up the root. The interesting stuff happens at the resolver level.
Anyone else in the back? Side?
You just want put people on the spot. So, yeah, this is a good segue. Open, free, secure DNS. It's what Quad 9 wants to do. It's, from my perspective, what you should look for in any resolver, whether or not you run it, your ISP runs it, you outsource it, or you look for one of the big quads or one of the other open source resolvers. I'll back up just really quick here. The purpose of DNS is to change names into numbers. You have a friendly name, www.mywebsite.com, turns into a number. That's how computers talk and get to each other. The advent of DNS back in the 80s, and as things started to take off, you needed a way to quickly get the answer that you needed so that it would decrease latency and decrease time to your website. So recursive resolvers were created, and shortly after that, caching was created too on those resolvers, so that every question you asked didn't have to continue to be asked again. It would keep track of what was going on. Nowadays, there are a number of huge open resolvers, Quad 9 being one of them, Quad 8, Quad 1 with Cloudflare, and a couple others that have IP addresses that don't roll off the tongue so easily from Cisco and Ultra DNS and places like that. Who am I? I'm just Darren. I'm up here in front. I'm principal engineer at Quad 9. There's some other stuff about me. The most interesting thing about this slide is just my passion for an open and free internet, which I know is shared amongst people who come to Novolug, as well as the rest of the community I'm proud to be part of. Here's the typical slide. This is what you're going to learn, or this is what I'm going to tell you. We can skip that. This is a snapshot of a visualization that we have. I'll pull up the actual live one here at the end of the presentation. What this represents is this is telemetry from Quad 9. When I took this snapshot, it's near real time, within a couple minutes of when the attacks are being mitigated. So these represent hits against our block list. We get threat intelligence. You've asked to go to a bad domain or clicked a link to a bad domain. It pops up on our visualization like this, and the larger the red circle, the more attacks are being mitigated. On the back end, we can see which threat intelligence provider provided us with that URL for that malicious site. So we have a way of knowing how well the TI feeds are working. But I could sit here and watch this all day with like some EDM music going while I work. And it's fun to watch, knowing that what I do helps protect people on the daily. We are a globally anycasted open resolver for free for everybody to use. We charge nothing, we collect nothing from you, which is more important. We give you secure options over DOT, DOH, DNS crypt in order to have the most secure connections. And a lot of the other resolvers do the same things to a greater or lesser degree. Part of why Quad 9 is doing what we do is because we want to bring awareness to this. And even if you don't use us, use some sort of protective DNS, because it helps everybody and helps mitigate emerging threats. Again, our vision statement. We just want to do good on the internet and not collect your data. Few of the folks who helped found us, IBM, Global Cyber Alliance, and PCH. Without them, we could not have bootstrapped into a global presence. PCH has been around for quite some time. They have done a lot of work around IXs, so they are global. And since we were friendly with them, we were able to drop in pretty much everywhere they were around the world. So that's why the global footprint. I am not sure that any other open global resolver will be able to be dropped in like this ever again, without a lot of money, right? We'll see though. Services, what we offer privacy. You were asking, you know, a little bit around this. We keep none of your data. We don't want it. We don't keep the query longer than we need to answer it. We don't keep your IP address. And this is also down to, if you're familiar with extended DNS, ECS, eDNS client subnet. On our primary resolver, Quad 9, we don't even keep that. That map that I showed you will get you down to the region where the block is happening, but we don't want to know what town, village, house you're in, and subnet can get close, if not dead on, to somebody who has an entire subnet, right? We don't want your data. We allow for secure connections, however you want to do it. If you need to obfuscate how you're getting there, DOH, you know, just it goes into all your HTTPS traffic, connects to us, gets the answer. There are populations and localities around the world where this is very valuable. You can do DNS over TLS over 953 for secure connections. This is useful if you want all of your traffic secured, but you also want it over a known port so that you know what that traffic is in your enterprise. We good? Okay. Again, no accounts needed, no sign up. We don't, we don't want your data. We can't sell it if we don't have it. We have taken the steps to be incorporated in Switzerland, who has some of the toughest privacy laws in the world. So, we put our money where our mouth is, we incorporate there. We are legally responsible for not maintaining your data. What's that? Oh, okay. So this brings up something that you may have seen in the news recently. There's a DNS for EU. I don't know if any of you have seen that this past couple weeks. It's the EU's attempt to have a quasi-global, anycasted resolver for their region, for the EU to have some digital autonomy, because besides Quad 9 and Yandex, and y'all are free to use Yandex if you want for your open resolver. Yandex is in Russia. Just, I'll put that out there. They're a service provider amongst other things. I've had dealings with them. I'm fine with the Yandex people, but I'm not going to send my queries to Russia. Every other large resolver is in the United States. I think you can extrapolate from that there's a certain, all your eggs in one basket if you're in one, under one jurisdiction, let's just say. One of the other big things that differentiates, or that's important for Quad 9, is we're not for profit. Our stakeholders are just people. They're end users, they're clients, they're people that just want to be free and safe on the internet. We are not beholden to shareholders. We aren't looking to make money off of you, so. TI collaboration, this is fundamental to protective DNS. You have to have threat intelligence providers, and not one or two. In our case, we have 35 plus. We have the largest pool of threat intelligence providers. Why? How did we make this happen? We give them good feedback. As it says, it's collaboration. We give them near real-time telemetry of what blocks, what's happening, what's being hit, and especially if they start having false positives, they want to know as quickly as possible in order to tune things, because that's reputation for them. If their feeds start generating too many false positives, people won't want to use them. So we have excellent relationships with all the large providers. Some are commercial, some are governmental, some are regional, some are industry specific, pardon me. So you'll notice here in the first column, we are interested in stopping threats. We are not a censor. Back to the DNS for EU, they offer, child safe surfing options and things like that. We just want to protect from emerging threats, DGAs, botnets, bad, phishing websites, and so forth. What people do on the internet is up to them. We just want them to do it safely. For some value of safe, right? I'm not a content moderator.
One question.
Yes, sir.
Has the thought of, some services allow you to, that you can log in, you can put in URLs that you don't want, or destinations that you don't want resolved in a service. Does that just tie back to Quad 9 not wanting to have any sort of like account with you to track kind of thing, or has that come up at all? Or?
So, I've said this in other places, and I was going to get to it now, but thanks for rushing me. Security is a layered approach, right? This is really where the first line of security is in the internet now. The first thing you do is you call DNS, whatever you're doing on the internet, right? You go to any website now, you get 50 to 100 calls, at least in a modern website. We offer, and protective DNS, at the very least, should offer that first line of protection to mitigate threats for all the common things like phishing and malware and stuff like that. So that if you misclick, because even the best of us, we screw up. It's nice to have that, but there's a layered approach here. And if you want other things like adding your own block list and stuff like that, you can do it. You can have your own forwarding resolver that uses us upstream, but then you can also have your own, block lists and things like that, or add your own sites that you don't want people to get to, or nanny filters, or whatever you want to do. So you need to think about your approach to security. But yeah, we get that question. We just say, there are other products for that. You don't have to use us. If you want to use us, we appreciate that, and we have we think, world-class service for you. Or you can, again, layer it in with the rest of your security model. Because, just because you use protective DNS doesn't mean you shouldn't have endpoint security. You shouldn't have firewalls, and you shouldn't be filtering logs and doing packet captures and whatever. It's all part of it. Performance. How do we do it? How do we do it so well? Part of it is free and open source software. We couldn't do what we do without free open source software. There are analogs to everything in the first column that are commercial, paid for, that you can build this exact same stack for a lot of money. And sometimes you're forced to do that depending on your company, your affiliation, the laws and regulations around how you handle data and data security. We happen to just believe that open source is the way to go. We have tight connections to the people who develop the software when we need added features. When we run into things and we develop things in-house, we can feed them upstream and get them accepted for other people to use. The special sauce in this stack for us really is that product at the center called Vector. It is where a lot of the magic happens for Quad 9. We have POPs all around the world. You saw that on the map earlier. None of the data, even the aggregated data, all right, we drop on the floor PIA data even to the subnet, and we do all the magic doing transforms on the data there. We pull in MaxMind GeoIP location as well as ASN data and some other things to enrich the data that we ship back to our core site. What does this mean? It means all data never leaves a specific POP. You can be guaranteed of that it's nothing is leaving that has any PII, and like I said, as soon as it gets processed, it gets dropped. We also aren't in the business of log shipping. We don't have those huge PCAP feeds, and you understand what it's like. We don't have some big RSys log server that takes terabytes of space and things like that. We enrich the data and ship it back to a Kafka cluster, and then we do things on the back end from there. So it's pretty slick. It really is. Our CTO is very good at data enrichment, visualization, and things like that. We're robust, we're anycast, we're geographic. We try to provide service to everybody in the world. We want low latency. Low latency is important to the DNS. If we don't have low latency everywhere, people will stop using us and use other providers. So we take user feedback seriously. We do accept tickets. We have a help desk, and if somebody says we're having problems with this resolver in Kenya, we take that seriously and we look at that because we don't want people to stop using our systems. Yes, sir?
What's your SLA in North Korea?
We aim to have under 20-second resolution time for any query to any of our systems. I mean, I don't know if the North Koreans use us or not, or if they're even possible. They probably redirect all their traffic, but if there's a way, they do.
Do they have the little wall or little firewall?
The little firewall of Korea? I don't know.
That assumes that something is connected to.
Well, there was a thing a couple of years ago. I remember reading that somebody screwed up a firewall setting in North Korea, and people were actually able to look at their internet for a couple of minutes, and there was only a handful of things, and then it went away again.
So where to find us? Obviously Quad 9. We also have 9.9.9.10 and .11 for other purposes. .10 I think does have that eDNS client subnet. eDNS client subnet is important for CDNs. I was in an argument with somebody who thought that that should be the default for Quad 9, and I said, well, that's not the primary customer. It's people that need to have get to the CDNs. It's for mom and pop and for smaller enterprises that can't build this on their own. We're happy if small ISPs, providers, and companies use forwarders and take advantage of us for DNSSEC, having the huge caches so that you guys don't have to build your own caches on your own resolvers, as well as the threat intelligence. So feel free if you have a need for us, not just personally but in your company, just forward to us. We're here for it. And then I think .11 is just a totally Wild West open resolver like Quad 8. I don't think anybody comes to us for that. I would have to look at the statistics. You might as well just go to Quad 8. So Quad 9's only been around since 2017. I know the guys who created Quad 9. It was kind of fun when you run across somebody who's in the same industry as you in the gym. You can sit there and lift weights and talk and have somebody who understands exactly what you're talking about. So my friend Dre, he's totally tickled that I'm now working for Quad 9 after he helped create it. In 7 years, we went to over 100 million users, over 500 million blocks daily. That's pretty impressive for anybody. I think there are commercial companies that would love to be able to show these numbers. Good morning, welcome. Good morning. Thank you for signing in. We grow month over month. I started in January, and all I've been doing is, once I got bootstrapped into how we do deployments and our Ansible system, I can't deploy or redeploy systems fast enough to continue to keep up with demand around the globe. One of the things, tying this back to open source software, is even in places where we are struggling with capacity, we have found out that moving off of an older version of a non-Debian release and moving everything to Debian in some of these sites, we redeploy in place, and we are able to take advantage of the hardware we have and get more performance out of it. So we do everything we can as cheaply as possible and come up with good, interesting solutions in order to continue to improve our footprint, not just deploy more, but to take advantage of the resources that we do have. You know, again, 120 countries, 260 locations, that continues to grow. Threat intelligence partners, as new ones become available or others become better, we try to come to agreement with them and bring them into the collaboration that we have, you know, such with the other providers. Oh, I think I've beat this to death. We want to do good. Some other people want to do good, but maybe with some caveats. You know, also it all depends on, you know, I think I said what you're looking for in, you know, your resolvers, whether or not you build it yourself or you outsource. There are reasons why you do need to collect data from people sometimes. You know, if your business model is collecting data about people and using it for targeted advertisements or something like that. You know, the nice thing is with DNS, you can opt out, right? You know, you're not going to void your warranty if you know, I used to do work and I worked for Time Warner Cable, so I understand the value. You can't just track me.
Bring the spray bottle in there.
Yeah, okay, yeah. I understand the value, not just for like ad insertion, targeting users, but also for government takedowns and stuff like that, and be able to track your users and some of the requirements around that. So, totally anonymous, you know, browsing is not allowable by some companies. I mean, they have to toe a line, again, depending on their jurisdiction and so forth. But you know, you can opt out of their service if you don't want to be used in that way. Oh, let's see. You'll either be surprised or not. There are 8 of us, 6 engineers and 2 quasi-engineer support people that make this possible. And I'm not stressed about it. I'm not kept up at nights. You know, having an Anycast resolver farm is great because you know that if something goes offline or is having problems, you just wake up in the morning and take care of it, figure out what the issue is. You know, the traffic gets naturally distributed to other places. The one time you really have to jump in, though, is if you know you're black holing traffic, and then you really have to pull that site. Cutting edge technology, yes, we use free and open source software because it's the most agile, it's the most up to date. You don't have to wait for vendor patches and things like that. You know, you get it sooner than later. Oh, here's the team. So I had to cut this slide from my presentation at Nanog. It was very sad that I had to not be able to show my wonderful coworkers. Simon Forster, our new general manager, started a few months, so I'm not the FNG anymore. For those who grok, fun new guy. He was 25 years with Spamhaus, which I'm sure a lot of you are familiar with Spamhaus. So he's come over to help, you know, go out, proselytize for us, and beat people, you know, with like piñatas and try to, you know, shake funding out of them because we can't do what we do without the support of the community, of sponsors, of grants, and things like that. We don't have huge Google pockets and things like that. JT, our CTO, he's the one who's a wizard with the data visualization, as well as, you know, enriching the data and working with our providers, with Amelia. Babak is our director of operations. I work directly for him. Rishek, Zachary, and I are co-workers under Babak, and Jerry coordinates everything for us. She's, I was just doing data center work the other day. It was like Mission Impossible. She's, you know, the person in my ear while I'm, you know, use this code to get into the data center, you know, because, you know, you fight with data centers, and you're like, oh, my ticket number is, and she's just like feeding it right into my ear. I love her. Quad 9, in summary, use protective DNS, even if it's not ours. Do yourself a solid, do your company a solid, have that first line of defense. We think it should be us. You know, if you're allowed to use you know, an open resolver, use us. We just have a better mousetrap at this point, and we don't ask for anything for it. So. trust of the DNS is integral and pivotal to how the internet works, in my opinion. I don't want a fragmented internet. I just want it free for everybody. I think Scally knows, can speak to that, I'm all about that. So if you have any questions, feel free to ask. Yes, sir.
I mean, I always like hearing about successful projects that are using open source software.
Right.
Do you had that list of all the projects? Do you work with them at all? Either support them or tell them, oh, there's a new feature or something that you need or want, and kind of work with them to.
Yeah. So I had never heard of Vector before coming to work for Quad 9. JT is really tight with the guys at Vector and collaborates back and forth with them because we ask for things that, developers need to know what to develop, right? Hey, we think these features would be really good, and then, they implement them, we implement them and say, yeah, that's doing exactly what we want. Thanks for doing that. Or with DNS dist or, any of the recursive resolvers and things like that. We have close relationships with all of them. If anybody knows DNS OARC, it's a subset of like network operators, but for DNS globally. We're very closely tied with them. I've been in that community for a lot of years, and you get bind, not, NSD, unbound, all the main resolver folks show up at those meetings, and again, we work closely with all of them. But yeah, I mean, we couldn't have these relationships with a lot of companies that where we would have to pay for their products and things like that. We'd just be another.
Yeah, that's something I think sometimes that's an advantage of working with open source projects, is that they can kind of work with them, collaborate, and it's all open.
Yeah, it's more of a collaboration rather than I'm going to hopefully get a feature request put in at some build of your proprietary software sometime down the line. It's a lot easier this way. Yes, sir.
Have you guys thought of any benefit to, I know you said you use Debian, splitting up resolvers onto different OSs just as a kind of a redundancy for security things, or do you find that at scale and with any cast, it doesn't matter if a whole site goes down, you can take it out, patch it, and get it back online pretty quick?
It's tough to have multiple distributions. We have multiple distributions of Linux, and we're trying to unify just on Debian. We're moving off of the old one. It's that trade-off, right? There's a lot of development time in making sure A and B are the exact same. We tried to do that when I was with LRoot between Linux and BSD, and just the development time, it's so yeah, do we have to worry about 0 days because we have a unified platform? Yeah, but you kind of have to take that risk, I think. I don't know many people that have the exact mirror of their infrastructure on a different distribution. So this is in real time what's happening with Quad 9. Like I said, it's just fun. You can zoom in. I could actually choose which countries and things like that I want to zoom in on if I wanted to isolate the traffic. And it's just cool. Yes, sir.
Are those where the queries coming from, or where they're going to?
From. So your mom here in Baja California has just clicked on that link, and it's just hit that entry in our block list. So that's showing where the user is, at and being protected. What's that? Yeah. Well, whatever, but yeah, in that region.
So, it used to be, I haven't tripped over this in a while, but it used to be a lot of the filtered DNSs cared deeply about how old the domain is. Is that still a thing, or is that kind of been dropped? So I used to work in an environment where I spin up new domains all the time, and brand new domain for a customer, you know, the domain's like, I don't know, 3 weeks old. Oh, that's gotta be bad. You know.
We track that. We have the ability to track that. We call it newly observed domains.
Yeah.
It's
But does it score high as far as that's probably bad and keep going kind of thing?
we don't make that. We don't have the tools to judge that,
So
but we do see it, and it's part of that telemetry feedback with our threat intelligence providers, who do have.
But the thumbs up and thumbs down is kind of completely from your threat intelligence. Folks.
Yes, yeah.
So
No,
the heuristics of these 3 guys say it's bad. This here probably means it's bad. You're not doing some sort of.
no. There's some overlap between threat intelligence providers. We know when that happens. Who's in line with each other, but they're also from different industries and different perspectives and different tooling to determine what the threats are. But yeah.
That's TI's job. Not
Yeah, that's TI's, not ours. Newly observed domains, yeah, is very
I know
important.
Means a lot
Yeah.
further upstream.
Yes, sir.
Possible sales suggestion. It looks like you guys need to go have a conference in Hawaii.
Oh, yeah.
They probably pick California or
I'm
something.
seeing pops in Alaska, but no pops in Hawaii. So maybe you need to.
Everybody's outside surfing. They aren't clicking bad links in Hawaii. I mean,
They got cell phones. They're surfing somewhere.
If you somebody carry your luggage, you let me know.
I'm thinking maybe a sales promo event in Hawaii.
I actually have seen hits in Hawaii. I've been watching this, but
It's still early in the morning there.
yeah.
That's true.
Hey, the internet never sleeps, though.
Everybody's got Internet of shit things.
Yes.
There you go.
Yep. There we go. Yeah. Somebody woke up and clicked the bad link.
Yeah, but those other islands, dead. I'm trying to get you a free vacation to Hawaii.
I get a free vacation to Phoenix next week to go sit in a data center. So something tangential to all this is, if you do follow Quad 9 and other open resolvers, there are governments and content providers that sue us. We are in a couple legal battles, as well as some of the other open resolvers around the fact they want us to block people's ability to get to content, which, as all of you know, is kind of stupid. If you have the wherewithal, you could just Google it. How do I put a recursive resolver on my laptop?
How would YouTubers and Instagrammers pay the bills without Shark VPN sponsorships?
Right. Each of us has the ability to run a resolver on our laptop and bypass anybody's filtering. So if we're blocking it, you just go to the next guy. Yes.
So from one of your earlier slides, it looks like traffic has really increased since you started in 2017. But being an open source kind of nonprofit organization, I'm curious if you've had a lot of challenges when it comes to the economics of running that level of infrastructure around the globe.
We have a donate button on our website, so that if you like our service, you can donate to us. We aren't proud. Yes, sir?
I was going to get to that
Yeah.
because donations are tax deductible as well if you go through every .org.
It's a challenge to do this without resources. I'm not going to lie. Like I said, our technical debt backlog is, I came in, and if there's something I see that needs to be done, we do it. You just peel the next ticket off the queue. Yes, sir.
So to follow up with that, you mentioned Ansible to spin up infrastructure.
Yeah.
Do I take it, given that you guys probably don't want to equate it to retirees and fixed income, but you're not doing anything with dynamic scaling, so that if you hit load, it's do we have the money to spin up more instances? And also, follow up to that, are you just using colos, or do you have your own data centers?
No. So, well, our own.
You're co-lead.
We have sponsors. We do have a few companies that offer us access at their POPs. We just need to drop equipment, and they'll give us heating, cooling, power, air, transit. So the kindness of strangers helps continue this. It's the collaborative nature of the internet I grew up with. We only have eight full-time employees, but we have some part-time employees, and then we have volunteers all around the world also that help us out, as smart hands as we need it, or giving us just space. It's part of our model, I guess. We don't tend to go in and buy our own colo space and make agreements and things like that, because the administrative overhead and the cost would just kill us.
So it's not necessarily based on demand in terms of like edge locations. It's based on kind of what is available. Or is
Some of both. I mean, we're not going to turn down an offer to host us, but we do look for opportunities in underserved regions where we might not have as low latency as we're trying to get to. But if you saw that map, we're in places that other people aren't. But yeah, it's
To the infrastructure point, though, you're not dynamically letting things blow out.
No, and we aren't in the cloud. We are not in the cloud. We cannot, again, scale like that, and we wouldn't want to. You get attacked once and you're paying through the nose because you've had to dynamically, scale. Where was I going with that? Oh, and underline all this, and we've had this, we run on Proxmox. We have a very thin stack. We usually have one U box, or if we have two 1U boxes, they aren't clustered. Our whole front end, back end telemetry nodes all fit on one Proxmox instance, and then we do all our magic there. So wherever I'm turning up equipment is generally 1U form factor.
Is the Quad 9 open source product, or like if I wanted to run Quad 9 in my home lab?
Well, you just forward to us.
Okay.
So no, I mean, no. I guess the short answer is no. I mean, you could go ahead and try to make relationships with all these TI providers and do the same thing. Obviously, I showed you what the whole stack looks like, and we'd be more than happy to talk with you about how it all fits together. There's no, we're transparent. We don't want to hide anything. And if somebody wants to build the exact same thing we do and then rub their special sauce on it, we're happy to collaborate with the DNS community for that. Because you could certainly do a lot more than we do with the stack we're running as far as censorship and more, more specific filtering that you might want to do for your family, your company, whatever. We just choose to, do exactly what we do, and that's it. Okay. I've talked way too long. Yes, sir. Oh, one more.
Not to give away any company secrets per se, what hardware vendor do you choose for your 1U chassis and stuff?
Again, we aren't proud if it'll run Proxmox, but we do look for things the most bang for the buck. Things right now, I think everybody realizes how expensive it is to run anything in a data center, and that's because of power. So we are starting to really look for systems because, if we are depending on the kindness of strangers, they would like us to at least send equipment that's not a power hog in the rack. Right now we have a lot of Cisco M4s and M5s is where our sweet spot is, but we're looking at other systems as we move forward again for low power.
Microsoft's got a killer deal on some Ryzen boards for like $450.
I'll be right there. Well, I want to thank everybody for putting up with listening to me again, and I appreciate you all being here.
Let's thank Derek.
Oh, thank you so much. You want to continue on?
I just wanted to close with a few more thank yous. Thank you, as always, to Tim for doing our IT and getting the stream on YouTube. Thank